Hello, everybody. It is Monday. Monday. It's a crazy world that we live in now. All things are weird and wonky, and I don't know. Shaggy is first. Shaggy got here first. He's over on Twitch. We are live at 7 o'clock every night on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. And today we're a little late. We wanted to do a little bit of planning and things like that. The world has been a strange place. We've sent people into space for the first time again in nearly a decade. So we've got perhaps the launch of the golden age of a new golden age of space travel. We've still got a pandemic that's happening, which is very unfortunate. And we have a second pandemic, it seems like. We have not seemed to fix this whole police killing people thing, which I don't get. It seems like if you're going to be a police officer, that is something that you hold dear to you. And I don't get me wrong. I know that there's a lot of very good police officers out there. I've know some. I've met some. I'm happy to be friends with some, and we need all of them to kind of step up and denounce kind of what this is happening. It's like I hear a lot of people whenever there's terrorist things, they'll say like, well, why aren't there people from, Islamic people saying, or Muslim people saying that this is terrible? And so I think that that's what we have to do now, right? Is that when bad things happen, we have to make sure that that's not the normal by saying that that's not the normal. So, hi, Eddard. Eddard Snark.
You don't get that because it's a Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah, I don't know Game of Thrones at all. But now I've learned something.
Eddard Stark.
Stark. Oh, I do know Stark. I have heard about Stark.
All the Starks.
Yeah, there's a winter coming thing. I know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
But yes, it is my loss. I don't have HBO Go, right? I don't have that opportunity to go and do it.
I mean, you could just use mine.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's just the fact of the matter. I just don't have that going for me. Craig is here. Well, welcome, Eddard Snark. We're glad to have you. This is your first time.
No, it's actually Mike O'Brien.
Is it Mike O'Brien?
Yeah.
Oh! Yeah, well, the Facebook delay is terrible. Honestly, I'm thinking about trying to kind of push people all to Twitch. There's a lot of really cool tools and stuff for streaming over on Twitch. We can see, like, not only how people are, like, answering and things like that, but follows and all of these different things. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so we were a little late today, everyone. We apologize. We decided to kind of change things up a little bit. I think you will see how that works. No real change to the way the game works, but maybe a little. We've started with a theme a little early in the week, I feel like, because we've just been we try our best on this show not to get terribly political or try to give you an escape kind of from the rest of the world, but the rest of the world has caught up to us a bit, and so we feel like that needs to be talked about, and we're going to do it in the most creative way we can think. So we've started season 10, season X. I've decided to call it season X because we've got SpaceX. They just went to the International Space Station. We're having some issues still with race, and we had a very prominent gentleman named Malcolm X who was pretty well known for helping in that reign of things. So we figured it was very thematic, and obviously it's the Roman numeral for 10. And it's very trendy to make 10 just an X. OS X did it. So don't forget that we're not going to be, we're not going to like change any of the scoring to full like Roman numerals. So don't be worried about that. You can still score the ways you've always scored. Oh, Christina's here. By the way, Jenny, Melissa, we see you. Stephen Brody has also joined. You'll still get points for answering questions correct. You'll get 2 points for answering a question first correctly. You do get a point if you're the first one to come into the chat and yell first, like Shaggy did today. You get a point for sharing, which I will do now. I'm going to go over to Facebook, and at the top of the chat there's a share and a share now public. I'm going to do that, and you'll see, look, there's an alert. An alert comes up. So you get that added bonus of being slightly famous for that. I need to refresh this, I think, because it is not running for some reason. And I'd like to try and keep track of what's happening on Facebook, because we know that Facebook is a little behind. So, all right. And then, yeah. So there we go. Karen's here, so we can get started, is what I've heard. But like I said, I just wanted to give some people a forewarning a little bit, okay? Just a little bit of a forewarning. Prior to tonight, we have tried to kind of give you an escape from the world. The world feels like it has caught up with us a bit, so we're going to make some statements here. Caitlin was going to say we should warn people that we're going to be political. I don't think we are. I don't think that that's the correct term for it. I think we're going to be social. We're going to be societal. We're going to be human beings. I don't think it's a political thing. And when I say I don't think it is obviously everyone's heard about this. There are protests going on, and we back those. We believe that that is a really viable thing to protest about. And we can talk about systemic racism, and if you believe in it or not. I don't want to get into the details with you. That is not something for the arguments. I think that this is a very, very straightforward issue. And that is, if somebody in authority, a police officer, takes a person into custody, and that person says that they can't breathe and they think that they're dying, and the person in authority who has custody of that person does nothing about it, I believe that the person in authority is culpable for that victim's death. It's that simple. Do you disagree? Do you? No.
I believe I don't disagree.
Yeah. If you think that is me being political, if you think that is me crossing some line, I understand. I sympathize. You don't have to watch this show. You don't have to support us.
This episode may not be for you.
Yeah, this episode may not be for you. But I feel strongly about that. And so, Stephen, I understand. We'll get back to that at some point in time. But Stephen, you can absolutely not do this tonight. I appreciate you, even if it's not something that you can handle right now. So with that said, there's a couple things we need to announce. One, there's going to be a big blackout of entertainment tomorrow night. A lot of record companies and entertainment companies are going to be blacking out and not providing entertainment. We are also not going to provide entertainment. Sorry. We think it's important.
Not sorry.
We think it's an important thing. So we are we're not going to do that. We'll still go live tomorrow. We'll probably just put up something that you can read. And maybe we'll put up a meeting and people can get together and meet about stuff and talk about it. But we're not going to do trivia tomorrow. It's just not going to be a thing. Because I think this is more important. So, hopefully you will support us again on Wednesday and beyond that. And if you cannot handle talking about these things, things will go pretty back to normal, I think, for us at least, next season. We'll go season 11, come back, we'll be goofy and silly again, but I think we need to pause for a minute on that. So good. We have 11 people on right now, and we appreciate all of you. So we're gonna start with a theme that we are hoping to keep up the entire week, and with question number 1. Right? Are we good? Let's do it. All right. Question number 1. Things that you should know.
Name the man murdered by police officer Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis on May 25th, 2020.
There we go. 60 seconds on the clock. You get 1 point if you get the answer correct. You get 2 points if you're the first person to get the answer correct. And so there we go. That is our first question. And, a lot of people are getting it right. We've got a lot of people. Yeah, it does seem to be a theme. I guess I shouldn't say it's right because we don't know. We haven't announced the answer yet. So we don't know for sure, but we do know that a lot of people are going for the same answer, which is really interesting. A lot of the time that means that there's like, if you see the same answer, a lot of the times that'll hint to people that is correct. So yeah, just something to think about. Septic is in the UK and has also gone with this answer. I feel like he's not cheating either, which is interesting. We've got people on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. That is fantastic. And time is up. We're going to go to the chat. I made kind of a new theme. Did you see in the background? It's a different color that I've gone with to give it a little bit more zhuzh. I'm trying to zhuzh things up a little. All right. So let's go down the answers and see what people said. George Floyd. That's what everybody said. That's just everyone said that. So we obviously have to wait for Facebook to catch up just in case anyone has any other answers. Sarah's joined us. Sarah has joined us as well. All right, so time is up over there. What's the correct answer?
George Floyd.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is a guy who was murdered by a police officer. And that's very sad because that's not what police officers are supposed to do. And they're supposed to serve and protect us. And if anybody's not outraged by the fact that a police officer has killed a human being who was handcuffed and in custody by just leaning on his neck, you should be really upset. And it doesn't even matter. Like, look, there are a lot of things we support that you don't have to support if you don't want to, right? If you don't believe in systemic racism, I don't agree with you, but you're allowed to have thoughts. But but you're welcome to also let me know how it's possible that particular circumstance is okay, because I can't fathom it. I cannot, regardless of color or race or situation, I cannot fathom how you're okay with a police officer who is given authority and given power to help us and to keep us safe and to make sure that laws are abided by, then taking someone into custody and then not listening when that person says that they are in danger and killing them, because I can't get that. So anyhow, everybody gets a point. Everyone gets a point.
Karen gets 2 points.
Melissa says, reason 127 why I love my boss. My DC office building was vandalized. He emailed today and said that the glass can be repaired and replaced, but humans can't, and we should consider putting our rage and frustration and sadness into helping others. Even told us to take time off if we needed it. I think that's excellent. I will be first in line to say, for all of the people that are breaking things and burning things, I understand why you're frustrated. You shouldn't do that. I get why you're doing that, right? I wish you wouldn't do it, but I also wish that police officers wouldn't kill people that have no weapons, and that seems worse, right? Like, and there's also for all of the dozens of people who are vandalizing or who are burning things, there are tens of thousands of people who aren't doing that. And you need to listen to them. So you don't get to just say, well, look, some buildings got burned and therefore we can just dismiss everything. Like, you can also say, you can be mad about policemen killing people, and you can also be disappointed in people burning buildings. Like, you're allowed to be both of those things. And that's okay. You don't have to pick a side and say, well, now that you've burned things, that's no longer a legitimate protest. I think it's still a legitimate protest with some people who are not good at expressing their frustration and anger. So there. I think that's fair. So, question number 2. Trey has joined us, by the way. He is in for a surprise.
Hello, Trey.
All right. So, question number 2.
Whose 1991 brutal encounter with the police sparked riots in LA and other areas of the country?
That sounds familiar, except that it was like 30 years ago? 30 years ago. I remember that. That's a long time ago. And this sounds very similar. So I don't know if there's a silver lining other than the fact that I guess they didn't kill Rodney King at the time. That seemed weird that it's gotten worse in some ways, I would argue. But this is another chance for people to get some points. So I forgot to put the 60 seconds on.
That's fine.
Oh my goodness. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. These are all really good facts that we should know. And Monday is the easy day. It's the day with all the things that you should know, right? So we figured that this is a really good question because you should all know this one. All right, so about 30 seconds left. And so this is good. This is excellent. We are 2 questions in.
So speaking of things not changing.
Yeah.
I talked to my dad today. My dad is almost 79.
Okay.
And he lived in Georgetown when in the 60s when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there were lots of riots and protests. And today he said it doesn't feel like a lot has changed.
That was a long time ago.
That made me really sad.
Yeah. So we should do something about that. Let's, since time is up, go to the chat. That's something. All right. So let's see what everybody answered. It looks like just Rodney King. Everybody answered Rodney King.
It's a good thing.
So that's good. You all knew that one. That's excellent. I'm very proud of you all. All right. So let's see. Facebook has to catch up just in case anybody else has an answer they would like to get in. And time looks like it's up on Facebook as well. Good. All right. Yes, Jenny, it is sad. It is very sad. That I would agree with. That this isn't a thing that we should be worried about. So, yeah. Here's the funny thing. Her dad's like pretty right wing about stuff. Like he's
pretty conservative.
He's pretty damn conservative. And if the conservative dude is like, wow, it doesn't seem like a lot's changed.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And I will give him credit. There are conservative members of my family with whom I know I cannot have these discussions, but my dad is not one of them because he did not raise us to be hateful children. And so
again, I would like to just beseech those people who are on the far right and who would like to just dismiss all of this as not being racial at all. They want to skip that at all. That's fine. I don't agree with you, but you do that. You should still be outraged.
Yeah.
You should still be outraged. Even if you don't think this is a racial issue, you should be outraged that a police officer of any race was kneeling on the neck of a man of any race. And that man, and what was it for? Because hypothetically, possibly he had a counterfeit $20 bill. Is that what it was? So a guy has a $20 bill that's counterfeit. Let's say that happened. Let's say that that's like in stone. He's absolutely a counterfeiter. Like, we'll just take that, right? You have a $20 bill that's counterfeit. You have the police called on you. And then you have a knee put on your head and you say, I can't breathe. I think I'm going to die. And then you die from not being able to breathe. Like, that's horrifying, people. That on its own. You can take everything else away. That on its own, that someone of authority feels like they can treat another human being in that way is unacceptable and should be outrageous to every single person. Period.
I am lucky that thus far I have not encountered anyone I know personally who is not outraged. Yeah, my dad though, I was talking to him today and he was like, he's like, I'm watching these videos of protests and riots and he would prefer the world not to be on fire right now, but he thinks the police are being absolute dickbags and we're seeing videos of it every day. Right. Yeah. And like, I'm happy that that man's my dad. We don't agree philosophically or politically in a lot of ways, but I'm glad that this is not a thing we have to disagree on.
Septic says that's bad. Even people in the UK know about it and want to do something about it.
Yeah.
We had a war with them, and we
Where
shot
we
them,
pieced out.
and we didn't want anything to do with them. And they're like, "That sounds really bad.
How
need
can
our
we help? Yeah,
The militarization of the police should worry everyone. It should.
it should.
This is, if there's ever like a topic where like racist guys with guns, right, and minorities should come together, congratulations, we found it. We found the one where people in authority who are allowed to have guns kill people who are not found guilty of a crime and who actually beg not to be killed. Like, this is pretty easy, people. Everyone should be like, no, that's super bad. This is why all of those people on the right who say we need to have guns to protect ourselves from our government, congratulations, you found the reason. This is the reason. This is the thing that you have been going off about for years. It is so that people who are in authority don't murder you. This is, if you want to march on something with your guns, we've found it.
This is the thing.
This is it. You
Now's
go
your
to
chance.
the police station, you go, hey, that's not all right. You should go and not kill people with your authority. Like, this is, congratulations. We've all found a thing. There we go. All right. So, question number 3.
All right. Remember your high school civics course.
Oh, this is an important one. It's getting a little tougher.
Which amendment forbade any state to deprive a citizen of his right of his vote because of race, color, or previous condition of servitude?
All right. 60 seconds on the clock.
Oh, there's protests going on outside Big Ben.
Well done, England. We appreciate you.
You are appreciated.
I genuinely think we should just reach out to the UN and be like, hey, we're having a big problem over here.
Yeah.
Hey, UN, we're apparently not able to do anything about it. So if you could come in and just take a look at the human rights violations that we are having, that would be awesome. That would be really cool. This is going to be harder, definitely, for the folks that are in the UK. The amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Septic.
Yeah, Septic, we're gonna give you a bye on this one. We feel like this is gonna be harder for you. But about 5 seconds left to get your answers in. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Welcome to normal, nothing different trivia. There's definitely no change in the way trivia is being done today. All right, time is up. Let's go to the chat. Shaggy's gonna change computers. All right.
Oh. Is that like a costume change, but for nerds?
Yeah, that is. He's gonna go through several costume changes.
Yeah, it's been a long time since any of us learned the amendments. We're terrible Americans, a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
None of us would pass a civics quiz and be able to gain entry into this country, by the way.
Yeah, because you need to know these things if you want to become a U.S. citizen,
Yeah.
but you don't need to know them if you're born a U.S. citizen.
No.
Which is a little backwards.
Except in like 8th grade or whatever it was.
Yeah, maybe. I actually wrote, I made the civics quiz that people study in order to be able to become a U.S. citizen.
He made it into a mobile app.
Yeah. So if you go up to like either the iTunes or like Google Store and you find the civics I think it's testing tools or like study tools that are from USCIS, like from the actual government, I made that.
Did I tell you someone at my work, your app wasn't out by the time she had to take her quiz.
Oh, right.
But now she's been recommending it to all her friends.
Yay! That's awesome. All right. So we have a bunch of different guesses, and time is up on Facebook as well. We have the 4th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, the 13th Amendment. Those are all the guesses. So we've got 3 different amendments that are going at it. All right. So nobody Karen, which is great. I'm glad to hear that nobody thought that none of us would get it right. So what is the correct answer?
Dear Septic,
Yes.
I adore you. You got it right first.
Yeah, Septic! All the way over in the UK nails it with the 15th. 2 points to Septic. Yeah. Well done.
Oh, that
my
makes me so
goodness.
happy. Thank you, Septic.
It's an important one, right?
It
Some of
is.
the others, not as important, it seems like, maybe as that one. If, like, you didn't know when we banned alcohol or when we realized that was a dumb idea and unbanned alcohol, no problem. But way to go. Yeah, civil rights. That's a good one to know. All right, so points. We got points, let's see, for Septic and
Mike
and
Trey
and Melissa and Danny
and Craig.
it looks like. And then Karen and Emily and Jenny and Christina all have to go and study. You've got some studying to do. It's a very important one to know. So make sure you go get that one. It's good to read it every once in a while. Let's see. What do we have? What was this? We're pulling numbers out of our asses. Everyone was doing it. Yeah. National, state, and local government.
I will say, I think that was the hardest question of the day. They're talking about a class that Trey may or may not have taken at the same time Emily took it.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
it doesn't count as civics.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, I think I had Mr. Slade for American history in 8th grade. I think that's right.
Our class was called civics in 8th grade.
I think it was civics. That's right. Yeah.
Where you basically study how the government works.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then we also had to do a project where we were assigned an occupation and a budget and whether or not we were married and have children. And then we had to make a home budget.
Oh, okay.
So we had to go through a week's worth of groceries and go through sale flyers and clip out prices and actually add everything up and then do tax and say okay, I can afford this much in groceries. Here's what I'm buying my family.
All right. That's fun. Did it help? Do you think was it a good thing?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. They taught us how to write checks and balance checkbooks and stuff.
Emily says the 13th Amendment was the abolition of slavery unless you were in prison.
Good point.
Also an important one. That was also good.
That's not a thing in the UK, apparently.
Yeah. Melissa did the budget thing as well. Let's go to question number 4.
Question number 4. I'm going to read a quote. You're going to tell me who said it. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Who said those words? Who wrote those words and then said them out loud? Who is famous for that speech? Let's see. It was a home ec, but not civics. Oh,
I did home ec in 8th grade too.
Maybe you got them mixed up. Maybe that was part of home ec.
No, we did laundry and sewing and cooking.
All right. Let's see. We've got about 30 seconds left.
I went to a magnet school for middle school, and apparently we did things in a different order than most people in the county did.
Let's see.
Emily says, "Damn it, Trey, I went to the same high school as you and definitely took government class."
He just didn't go to it. He chose not to go to it, is what Trey is. He's like, yeah, I already knew civics. I didn't need no civics. Come on. Sewing, cooking, and typing were mandatory when I was in junior high school. Really? That's kind of cool. Along with shop. I took shop in middle school.
That's junior high school.
Yeah, junior high school. Sewing and cooking and typing were not part of that same thing. All right, time's up. We're going to go to the chat.
I made a pillow. We did a project in home ec where we had to make a heart-shaped pillow that people who have had heart surgery can hold up to their chest when they cough.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I insisted upon keeping it because I was very proud of it. And my dad ended up needing it because he had open heart surgery.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He loved that pillow. In fact, he knew that I had it at home. So when they tried to give him one when he left the hospital, he said, "I already have one of these. My daughter made it."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay.
All right, time is up on Facebook as well. Looks like a lot of people believe that it was Martin Luther King
Jr.
But I believe the right answer is Martin Luther King Jr.,
The
not his father.
The most well, his father's name was not Martin. He was actually born Michael King,
Oh, okay.
and he changed his name to Martin. The most correct answer is Emily's, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh,
But I'm giving points to everyone because, I mean,
you're gonna give it to people who said MLK who are not.
I am.
All right.
Because technically, he wasn't technically Martin Luther King Jr. He was Michael King Jr.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So Trey got in first with MLK, somehow beating the people on Twitch because I think he's watching it on Twitch and then just saying it in Facebook. And let's see, Karen and Septic, Shaggy, Craig, Eddard Snark, Shaggy again. But
Well, he was just adding a junior to his answer.
Emily with the most complete answer. Danny got it as well. Jenny and Melissa are all the ones that I see.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks like, let's see, Trey was a magnet school for blending magnets, a blend of magnet for math and science and regular for the rest.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Okay. Interesting.
We just had nerd classes sprinkled in with the other classrooms, and we got made fun of a lot.
I just want to start a magnet school where all it does is teach the Insane Clown Posse how magnets work. That's because they still think it's magic.
Yeah.
And I'm just concerned about their future.
They're very sweet.
So yeah, touch typing was pretty great. That's not a bad thing. I did theater. I did theater in 8th grade, I think.
Me too.
Yeah.
High five.
And that's when I started liking performing and stuff like that. So I don't think that was bad. I don't think that was a poor use of time. It may not have led to great riches, but I had a very full life. When I look back at it, it was a fairly full life, and I think I'm gonna die now. I think that's what it makes.
That's not what it means. Question 5.
All right, question number 5.
What human rights activist and former Nation of Islam member was assassinated on February 21st, 1965, as he prepared to address the Organization of Afro-American Unity?
Yeah.
Why do U.S. schools sound great fun? Yeah, everyone I know who's lived in the UK said they're lacking in things like home ec and shop.
Yeah, we've got some cool things.
Yeah.
I know in high school you could take mechanics. You could take auto shop. You could just learn how to like fix cars and stuff like that. In fact, I think that's the thing that's missing from schools the most, if anything, is that there's a lot of like emphasis placed on the idea of like you being well-rounded, right? And so it's like your English and your math and your science and and all those things, right? And there's less emphasis put on things that might be like really useful to certain people, right? Like if anything, there's kind of, we have this weird thing in the United States where it's really looked down upon if you have like a blue collar background, right? If you go and do things with your hands, if you build things, if you fix things, it's like, oh, what went wrong? You weren't able to go to college and get a real job. And I think that's wrong, right? And I think it's put us in a really weird place in the world because now we have a bunch of jobs that are blue collar jobs that pay well, like plumbers and electricians, but nobody wants them because they're not like real jobs, right? They're somehow you're less of a person if you have one of those jobs, and I think that's wrong. And so there's a bunch of people who have white collar jobs, right? Like who spend their entire careers not doing actual like impactful work, or don't go anywhere, or can't find jobs and refuse to kind of move into that sector because the barrier of entry is either too high or the barrier of pride is too high. And that's very unfortunate. So I think more programs like that where kids can be like, wow, I really like working on like computers, or I like working on cars, or I like working, in wood. I like, building or working with electricity, like would be really helpful, I think. All right. So time's up on Facebook as well. Lots of people went with Malcolm X. Pretty much everybody went with Malcolm X.
Yep.
What's the correct answer?
It's Malcolm X.
Yes, it is. We decided to name this season partially out of him, or from him in honor. Just because it worked out. I mean, it's season 10, so we didn't put a lot of thought into it. I'll be honest. But I thought, yeah, that'd be cool. Season X. And then we've got SpaceX and things. So I figured it all fit together well. And it seems like it's a good time for it. So Malcolm X, first one that got that correct is Craig with 2 points. Emily, I'm going to always forget Mike's real name when I see it because it's just weird now, calling him a different thing.
Oh.
It's like when we saw Septic on Facebook as Charles, and I was like, who? That's not right.
And then he stole Charles's shirt.
That was just rude. Septic stole Charles'
Tacky.
shirt right out of his mailbox, which I think is illegal. Trey, Karen, Septic, Melissa, Jenny, and Danny also got that. Didn't see any other answers. Did we miss anyone? We've got like 18 people who are watching, but I think it may be because everybody's watching on 2 different platforms. So we're cheating a little bit. We're cheating the numbers just a bit, it seems like. Could be the case. This is great. By the way, if you want to move over to Twitch, feel free to do that. It is faster, we have found. And if we start putting everybody over on Twitch, that we might be able to like monetize that in some way or something, which would be cool. We'd like that. So that's a place we could grow. Steam says hello. Steam has joined us. Welcome to our very normal and not at all strange episode of Trivia. If there's a theme, it's just by complete coincidence. Moving on. Let's see. So we should do our scores, right? Because that was 5.
Oh, yeah, that was 5.
Let's take a look at the scores. So Danny's counted 3 times. I like it. We're not gaining listeners. We're just gaining copies of listeners. I feel like this is my entire life. This is how my life works, is that not more people listen to what we're doing. Just more people, more of the same people listen more often.
No.
All right. So what are the points?
We have Christina with 1 point, Jenny with 3 points, Shaggy and Emily with 4 points, Trey, Melissa, Karen, and Danny with 5 points, and Septic, Mike, and Craig with 6 points.
All right. So cool. If anyone thinks that their points are different than that, please let us know.
I probably did it wrong.
There's a chance that we're distracted. All right. Question number 6.
What is the city and state where the shooting of Michael Brown occurred, which sparked protests for weeks?
There we go. 60 seconds on the clock. We just need the name of the city and state. So all on one line, city and state.
Steve would like to clarify that he has 0 points.
Yes.
Noted.
Steve does have 0 points.
We love you.
Points. For those who joined us late, Paul was here a little late, and Steam. There's a theme today that we're going with, and so yeah, we're a little disappointed with the way that the world has gone down in the last week, and we kind of powered through last season because we wanted to kind of finish things up. We decided we wanted to do something different this season, this week. So yeah, we're going with this kind of theme, and also wanted to let everybody know that that we're not going to be here tomorrow night. There's a call for an entertainment blackout tomorrow that we've been hearing from a lot of record companies, entertainment companies, and things like that. So we like that idea, so we're going to do that. We'll probably still go live at 7 o'clock, but there won't be any trivia. I don't know that we're going to be on camera or anything, but kind of a show of solidarity, because I just don't believe that police officers should kill people who are presumed innocent, especially if they're unarmed and they're in custody. That seems really, really crazy. So
a really horrifying thing is happening in the chat right now.
Yeah, what's that?
So a couple of people answered incorrectly, and now they're going back and going, no, Flint was the lead in the water. No, Baltimore was Freddie Gray.
Which is true. Which is not wrong. It's just that there's so many things.
It's just horrifying.
There's just so many things. Go into the chat. Time is up. No. No, Baltimore was the other one. The
The
yeah.
other guy who was killed while he was in custody.
Yep. That's where I stand, folks. If you've ever been curious, I try not to be terribly political or socially active on Facebook because it sometimes just ends up being a cesspool of stuff. But going on record, I believe that if you are taken into custody by a police officer, that you are placing your life in their hands. You are giving up your freedom and your ability to protect yourself by being handcuffed or being put into some type of captivity. And then in return, it is their responsibility as authorities and human beings to do everything that is possible to keep you safe. That is what I believe. I don't even think that that's hard to believe that. Like, I don't think that that should be even like slightly like controversial. I just don't think it should be. If you are cuffed and you are put into a vehicle by a police officer, that police officer should secure you in a way which you don't die, and should drive in a way that doesn't kill you. Unless you can prove that somebody in the back of a police vehicle threw themselves about in a way that they committed suicide by breaking their own neck. Unless you can prove that, I feel like you're culpable for that person's murder. That's how I feel. If that feels like too much as a police officer for you to take on, I'm sorry. It's a difficult job. I understand that. I know that you are sacrificing a lot. And for all the really good cops out there, thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate it. I know that you're being put in danger every single day. And that's huge. That's a big deal. But I don't think it gives you the right to murder people. I just don't think it does. And if you're going to go along the lines of the gray area where like you thought someone had a gun and so you shot them because you feared for your life, I get that. I think we need to get better at that. And I think we need to fix that as well. But I feel like if you're going to call that a gray area, the not gray area is when you have them in custody and cuffed, because the only reason you don't take your knee off of a guy's neck when he says that he can't breathe and he thinks he's going to die is because you think taking your knee off his neck is going to result in your death. Like your action. You have to tell me that's the only excuse. That's the only reasonable excuse, is to say, if I took my knee off that guy's neck, I was certain that I would die. And so I had to keep it there. That's it. It's super easy. That's how that math works. Because once that guy dies because you kept your knee on him, then he was the one in danger and you were not. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's my take. Just in case
Septic.
people were curious.
There's no need to be sorry. Thanks for joining us tonight.
What is he sorry about?
Because he didn't know.
Oh, that's okay. It's all right. You don't need to know. You're on a different part of the world, for God's sakes. The fact that you know as much as you do, I think, is really hopeful. It means that other people in other countries are paying attention, and that's how bad it is. That's how bad these things are, because these things shouldn't happen. In India, right, women shouldn't be, killed on buses, right? And there, all of these horrifying things that happen in different countries shouldn't happen. And yes, other countries have problems, and other countries have horrible things that happen. But we have also just had a horrible thing that has happened. This shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't. All right. 2 minutes and 30 some seconds after he's unconscious is unconscionable.
It is unconscionable. It's not unconscionable. That's not a word.
It is unacceptable. This is something that every American and everyone throughout the world should stand up and say, that a person who is given authority over other people to keep them safe and make sure that laws are abided by should not be given the flexibility to murder people. Period. That's just obvious. This isn't, I am not being controversial here. We should all be united on this. This is easy. This is an easy one, people. All right. So what was the correct answer?
Ferguson, Missouri.
Ferguson, Missouri. That is correct. Trey, let's see who got it first. It looks like
Mike.
Mike got it first over on Twitch as Eddard Snark. Karen went with Baltimore. Unfortunately, not correct. That was the other person of color, the other black man who was murdered by policemen by just putting them in the back of a truck and apparently driving in such a manner. Literally, I can drive in such a manner in my truck with nobody having any seatbelts on where they don't die. And I'm not trained. I am not a trained driver. I have not been trained on how to drive any more than anybody else. I took a driving class. I've got a license. I assume that police officers also have done these things, right? I feel like to be a police officer, and drive a police vehicle, you must have passed a driving test and have a license of some sort. And I know categorically, even if you were to take the people in the back, if we took a van and we put people in the van and we detained them in some way with handcuffs and things like that, I guarantee you that I could get to any point A to any point B without murdering those people. I feel absolutely confident of that. And I have no training as a police officer.
So Steve brought up an interesting case which happened just here in Reston.
Yeah, what was that?
Roy Buchanan. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
He was beaten within inches of his life and somehow managed to supposedly hang himself while he was in custody.
Mm-hmm. That is a thing that did happen. He was, yeah. Again, I'm 100% for a police officer doing whatever they need to keep themselves safe. They should be able to go home at the end of each day. But I don't know how beating people within an inch of their lives or kneeling on their neck until they die keeps them safer. In fact, I would say the opposite, because if you're going to ask people to comply with police officers, right, for their own safety, if you're going to say, well, if you don't want to get shot, you better not resist arrest, then what you need to do is let people know that when they are arrested, they will be safe. Or people are they're going to assume that when they get arrested, they might die. And then that makes people way more likely to want to shoot, right? Or do things that save their life. Like, if you're going to make it a life or death thing, then people are going to act in really life or death kinds of ways. And we don't want that. Nobody wants that. When you're in custody with a police officer, you should be pretty much the safest you could possibly be. Right? Like, the fact that the police allowed, what's his name, who killed Kennedy? Oswald, right? Allowed him to get shot in custody is deplorable as well. Like, you shouldn't be able to be shot while in custody. You should not be able to be choked to death while in custody. You should not be thrown about a vehicle so that your neck breaks in custody. These are all ridiculous things. You are supposed to be protected while in custody. That's the whole point. By police officers who are the most trained people for protecting. That's what they're supposed to be doing, right? Just saying. Don't get me wrong. Don't like Lee Harvey Oswald. Not sad that he died. But anyone, even deplorable, terrible people while in custody, should be safe. That's my opinion. Just my take on it. So yes, it was Ferguson, Missouri. Baltimore, the other place. Reston, another place where terrible things have happened. Flint, Michigan, the place where people couldn't drink water for now. I think they still can't.
They still can't drink water.
So it's been like 4 years or something. Yeah, it's awesome. That's something else entirely that we should probably also talk about at some point. But at least they've got bottled water and they're not dead. That's good. Yet. All right, so let's move on to question number 7. We're going to go a little long tonight, it seems like. I just wanted to let people know that this might be a longer show than normal. We've been really good about stopping right around 8 o'clock, but that doesn't feel like it's going to happen tonight. All right, so question number 7.
Who is the 14-year-old African-American boy lynched in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of offending a white woman in a grocery store? Because that's punishable by death.
Yeah, 60 seconds on the clock, everybody. Just so you know, this isn't new. This is a thing that's been a part of our history for a long time.
Very long time.
Here's the good news, right? The good news is fewer private citizens are murdering black people, and now we're just leaving it up to the police to do it. So that's awesome. Maybe a step in the right direction, but maybe not a big enough step in the right direction. But again, these are just things that have happened in history that are not at all connected in any way, right? No way that this is a theme of any type.
You may notice that there are a lot of questions whose answers are people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason.
Because this happens to people.
And because I want their names said.
Yeah. All right, to the chat, because time is up. Let's see. 6 years since Flint became a big story. Been longer than that, though. Yeah.
Trey has a really unfortunate point.
Yeah, what's that?
He said, though I have a feeling that question probably has multiple answers.
Oh, it does. Yeah, we're definitely going
with the famous case.
With the famous case. It might not have as many because it was a 14-year-old boy in Mississippi in 1955.
That's very specific.
Right. And then the reasoning. So if you take all of those things in that year, in that state of that age group, that might be just one. However, all you'd have to do is take out one of those things and you would probably get multiple answers.
Say Alabama instead.
Right. If you would have taken Mississippi out and just said 14-year-old boy killed, then yeah, if 1955, then yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I would guess that you could probably pull one or at least one more out of the headlines. Or if you'd said not a 14-year-old boy, but somebody else in Mississippi, maybe.
Yep.
I'd have to research it, but I wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't blow my mind. I know if you took the number 1955 out of it, yeah, I guarantee you at that point.
Yeah.
Go a little later, yeah. No, that's a guarantee.
Yeah, Karen brought up a point that's important.
Oh yeah.
That woman rescinded her statement recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it never happened.
Yeah.
So that was a 14-year-old boy that was murdered because he was black.
Which is a whole lot like when bitchy women in Central Park call the police on a black man assaulting her when all he's done is ask her to put her dog on a leash. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know that you're causing potential danger for that person and you're doing it on purpose. That woman afterwards was like, well, I didn't intend to harm any black people. And I was like, what were you trying to do then? Like, were you trying to invite the police to a tea party? What do you think was going to happen?
Well, and you were telling me a story about there were two business owners up in Minneapolis.
Oh, my dad told me this story.
Right.
I don't know. We were talking about several cities at once. So it could have been Minneapolis. It could have been New York City. It could have been Philly. I'm not sure. But two African-American gentlemen owned a business and they were afraid of looting. So they went to their store to protect it from looters, board it up, do those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And a person in the neighborhood called the police on them. And so there's two black men in the store looting it. And like 10 cops showed up because they apparently had nothing better to do than I don't know, beat two black men to death for being in their own store. I'm not actually sure what their goal was, but
I mean, thank God it didn't turn out that way, right?
Yeah.
They didn't get beaten to death.
Yeah, they were interviewed later and they were just incredulous. They were like, these police officers have bigger things to be doing than sending 10 people to investigate why there are two men sitting in a store.
Yeah,
like we weren't like removing merchandise. They were just sitting there.
That's the interesting thing, right? Because we'll say like, whoa, there's no racism. People aren't being racist. They were just calling because they were concerned about that. But why were they concerned about it, right? When they're like, oh, there's people looting that store. Like, are you going to tell me that if two white people were sitting in that store, they'd be like, well, those are some white looters. We better get them in. And would have 10
Right.
officers showed up.
Like, How did they loot a store? By unlocking the front door and walking in?
Black people are in a store. Just so you know. Need to call the cops. There's black people in the store. All right, so Emmett Till was the answer by most. Will you accept Emmett?
Yeah, that's fine.
And we also have an Emmett Lewis Till.
That's very specific, and I like it.
Very specific. First one to get that was Karen, it looks like.
Good job, Karen.
Points. She was correcting herself with Emmett. I apologize. Craig, Danny, Emily, Trey, Mike. Not going to get it right. Melissa and Steam also get points for that. All right, so let's go on to question number
I'm sorry that we're not helping you not be bummed, Steve, but this is something we found to be really important.
Yeah, I know our goal up to this point has been making a place where everybody can come and kind of forget about all the craziness, the pandemic and stuff like that. But that
not today.
Didn't feel appropriate. So we kind of got through the last season and held on by our teeth on that one. And then we were like, no, we need to do a thing. We need to do things. So expect this, just for the record. If this is not your jam, this is probably going to be a week that you don't want to hang out, and that's cool. We won't be upset with you at all. We no hard feelings. If we are just doing trivia for 2 people, that's fine by us. Same show. We do this as much for ourselves. And so that's cool, but yeah, you'll probably want to stay away. So, just letting people know if you're just here for the comedy and the staying away, we'll still have some fun and stuff. But if you need a full escape, this isn't going to be a good place for you this week.
Come back next Monday.
But yeah, next Monday we'll get back to it. There's a time and a place for it, and I think it's important, right? I don't think we can be serious and I don't think that we can be doom and gloom all the time. Otherwise, nobody takes it seriously. But I think by the fact that we've been doing this for 2 months and not dealing with a lot of the virusy stuff and a lot of the political stuff and all of those things, the fact that we're now turning on this, I think points to why it's important. So, all right. 8.
Number 8. Name the civil rights organization in the U.S. formed in 1909 as a biracial endeavor to advance justice for African Americans by a group including W.E. Du Bois.
All right. 60 seconds on the clock. That's a lot. I understand that there's a lot that's gone on here. We're looking for a civil rights organization formed in 1909. It was biracial. Pretty amazing. To advance justice for African Americans, and it was an entire group including W.E.B. Du Bois. All right, so and it's an important thing. We also found a really important thing as well, right? What was the story that we found out about in New Orleans? Do you remember that? Who was that? We went to a grave of somebody. Was it Du Bois?
I don't remember.
It was somebody. And they had made a huge impact on things. I want to say it was earlier than 1909, maybe. Was it?
Maybe Steam remembers.
Maybe it was this. Yeah. But we went to this, I think it was Du Bois. I want to say that's who we went and saw. But,
well, we can look up where Du Bois is buried.
Yeah. But anyhow, it was someone who put together this whole thing in New Orleans for equal rights, and it was like 150 years ago. It was insane, and they had the wherewithal to get people together, and it was multiracial. It had it wasn't just African Americans, and it was really good. Oh, it might have been Plessy.
It was Homer Plessy.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was Plessy.
It's Plessy v. Ferguson.
Yep. That's right.
Yep.
That was what it was. And so we went to his grave. It was amazing because you heard all of these advancements that were happening and how incredible it was all those years ago, and then just how everything went sideways. And is very, very unfortunate. But
yeah, Homer Plessy was a French-speaking Creole man.
Mm-hmm. So that was really cool to be there. Yeah, it was very, very cool. Emily's also been there. All right, so time is up. Let me make sure that we say that in the Facebooks as well. All right, so looks like we've got a bunch of guesses for the NAACP. Is that the correct answer?
Hell yeah, it is.
It is the correct answer. All right, so Mike looks like he's the first one that got that correct. And then Karen, Danny, who spelled it out, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Danny types quickly.
Which seems really weird to say now, right? Because colored people
Can't say that.
Yeah. But this was made in 1909, and that was actually like the PC term, right? That was the preferred term, because I assume the unpreferred term is probably the N-word. And so
It's really interesting though that the name has stuck and they didn't change it.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes you have to like recognize and accept history, right? But Craig got it. Melissa says that she wants to make peanut butter cookies along with Craig, who's making peanut butter fudge.
And just with a spoon.
And just eating it with going hard-ass motherfucker on it. That's what ham stands for.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can we switch the next two questions and do 10 first?
Yep. I thought
you
you might do that anyway.
Thanks.
When we were typing it out, that was my thinking. All right, ginger African American. Yes, the ginger
African American. That's right. He had red hair.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, Trey was also there.
Trey came with us, and
Trey
Steam
came with us, and Steam was there. It was a good time. All right, so we're gonna go to question number 10, technically, but you're not gonna know because it's only 10 on my button.
Yeah.
So we're gonna switch it up. All right.
Penultimate question.
So this is the penultimate question. Question number 9.
Name the system of institutionalized racial segregation that existed in South Africa and Southwest Africa from 1948 until the 1990s.
All right, there we go. 60 seconds on the clock.
Southwest Africa is now Namibia.
Namibia. Just wanted to point out again, see, not just America. Other places have problems too. That's okay. We're allowed to have problems. We don't have to be perfect, right? We just need to be better.
To be shitty.
Right. We just have to get better. We have to, when things happen like, 30 years ago, then we should make that better. And then when things happen like 7 years ago, we should be like, this is still a problem. We should make it better. And now it's happened like last week, and we should keep making this better. So it's not really doing that. So let's work on that. I think we should all work on that. And once again, I just want to see, I would like to see police officers. We've seen it in the news. I don't know if you've got it, and there's a lot of hope because of this. There are police officers who are holding signs that say that they are against police brutality. There are police officers who are speaking to demonstrators and letting them know that, like, hey, I have to protect this building, but I agree with you and I sympathize with you, and I want this too, right? And that's what we need to hear. We need to hear police officers, regardless of their race, speaking up and saying that they're not okay with it. And then we need citizens speaking to our government and saying that this is not a thing we find acceptable. So I think it's great that we're doing demonstrations. I'm concerned about people's health because, we still do have a pandemic out there, and you don't deserve to get a terrible disease or die from that disease because you have something important that you need to talk about, that you need to present. So I'm concerned about that. But I'm even more concerned because it can't stop there, right? You also need to reach out to your representatives, and you need to reach out to your governors, and you need to reach out to your state legislators and the president. I don't care if he won't listen. I don't know. Then just you make people listen. You just do it. You do it over and over again because they have to, right? Because it's a democracy. And if they don't listen, then you vote other people. You vote other people in, and you do everything you can to make sure that they understand that it's not acceptable. All right.
That's an interesting setting, Danny.
Oh. Twitch will not show the term apartheid in the stream chat. That's
because
weird.
of a filter setting that Danny has. That's really interesting.
That's well. All right, cool. I didn't really discriminate.
The thing happened in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, we did. Oh, time is up. Let's do that. All right, that's interesting. I hope they charge the other 3 cops with accessory to murder. You know what? Here's my view on it, right? If they can at all prove that those other cops were at all aware of the situation in any way, like if they could tell that that man was in distress, or they heard him saying that he couldn't breathe, or anything that hinted that that man was in danger, and they did nothing, then absolutely. If somehow they were on the perimeter and not paying attention and
they were just on him.
Yeah, but I don't see how that's possible that they weren't aware, right?
Right. If someone standing 15 feet away filming could hear clearly this man saying, "I can't breathe, I am going to die," right. There's no way that a dude that was leaning on his legs didn't hear it.
That's the way.
There's no way.
That's the way I see it, right? If that is the way that my brain works, is they have to somehow prove that they were not privy to it in any way. And if they were, then that's like me. If somebody says, I'm having, I'm bleeding to death, and I'm like, good luck with that. Like, I don't know what the laws are, but that seems horrifying and terrible. And I think that our policemen need to be held to a higher standard than that, because your job is to serve and protect, right? So you're not doing the thing that you are sworn to do if you're not protecting. I just think, I think it's pretty obvious that they had to know about it. I wasn't there. I can't say those things, right? I don't want to be presumptuous about it, but I don't see how they weren't aware of it, right? And if they were aware of what was happening, and they were aware that a person was begging for help and saying that they couldn't breathe and saying that they were going to die, and then that person died because they couldn't breathe, I think that you end up being culpable to that. Like, I just feel if you go into a bank with a guy who has a gun to rob the bank, and the guy who had a gun kills somebody, then you're an accessory to that murder, right? And so I think in the same way that seems obvious to me, but I don't know. That is, or the Asian officer standing 5 feet away being told the guy can't breathe. Yeah. I mean, it has nothing to do with white officers or Asian officers or any of that to me. If you are a person in a role of authority, if you're given authority over other human beings, and you are able to treat them in a way that causes their death, I feel you're culpable to that. And I think that you should be punished for that. And that's white officers and black officers and Asian officers, anyone given power and authority over other people. If you take action or you take inaction which results in the death of that person, and you had the knowledge and you had the ability to do something about it, that seems unacceptable. In a roundabout way, that those police officers killed their boss, right? Because we all pay for police officers. We are all paying for them. They work for us. Like, the person who pays me, my wage is my boss, and then I have to do the things my boss asks me to do. And what we ask police officers to do is to keep us safe and to enforce the law. Right? That's what we ask them to do. As their bosses, that is the thing that we have asked them to swear to do. That is what they are sworn to do, to serve and protect, to make sure that people are abiding laws, and to protect the people who are abiding laws, right? And so if you're not doing that job and then it results in somebody's death, I don't know. All right. I think, all right, so correct answer.
Apartheid.
Apartheid. So Mike got that. A bunch of other people got that. I think we had already said that, right?
Yeah.
So let's move on to the last question, which is just our really cheap way to make you write things in the chat.
Yep. Super cheap.
So to get a point, guess what? Yeah, so to get a point, this is what you've got to do. It's real simple. And if you don't get a point because, yeah.
What international activist movement began in 2013 with a hashtag?
This shouldn't be hard. It should be really easy to type. And if anyone wants to come and have a discussion about all lives matter, that's cool. That's great. I'm proud of you, right? I am proud that you believe that there's an equality that should occur, right? That's awesome.
That's
right?
just not what we're fucking talking about.
But here's the problem. That means we agree, right? Because if all lives matter, then Black Lives Matter. That's the point of it. It's inclusive. You're saying the same thing. But right now, we have people in the United States who aren't sure. Right? There's a whole group of people who aren't sure that their lives matter. And if you're not willing to just type that, right? If you're not willing to just, it's like if you're married, right? And your wife says, "Am I beautiful?" And you say, "All people are beautiful." Right?
Your wife's going to be super mad at you.
You're not wrong. Your people are all beautiful, right? But that's not what she's asking. That's not the question that you're answering. You're not answering, "Are people beautiful?" You're answering, "Am I beautiful?" And the answer is, yes, you're beautiful. And the question is, do Black lives matter? And the answer is, Black lives matter. Yeah, Latino lives matter, right? Asian lives matter. But right now, there are people who are asking that question, and they need us to answer it. They need the answer to, do Black lives matter? And the answer is yes. Black lives matter. So get on board. We're not saying other people's lives don't matter. That's not it. We're just letting some folks who are really scared right now know that in addition to everyone else, their lives also matter. And that's an important thing to tell people sometimes. So the answer is Black lives matter. Everyone gets it correct.
Thank you.
And then you're dead.
Yeah.
So there you go. All the people who want to be able to take this and clip it up and, say that I'm a horrible person, feel free to do it. Do whatever do your worst. I don't know if I'm along party lines on things. I probably say things incorrectly. I probably aren't not supportive enough in some ways and too supportive in other ways. But those are my views. My views are pretty simple. I think that if you're Black, your life matters. And that's cool. Like, that's a thing that everybody needs to know. Right? And for all the people, if you're not sure if your life matters, come to me and talk to me, and I will let you know that your life matters. But those aren't the people asking the question right now. The people who are asking the question to America are African Americans. Right? The Black people are worried and are concerned and are scared. And so I want you to know that for me, your life matters. And for anybody that comes to me, your life matters. So yeah, Black Lives Matters. I believe in that. All right? I believe that police should not kill people who are in custody. Like, that's it. If you are in the custody of police, you should be safe. That's what I believe. I believe that you shouldn't loot and you shouldn't burn things and vandalize. But I understand. I understand why people do it. And I believe that it's not as bad as killing people. So please, if you're watching this sometime in the future, I ask you the following things. Please protest safely, protest peacefully. I would really like you to do that. I understand if you don't, but I would love for you to do that. If you're a police officer, if you see somebody in trouble, save them. Help them. If you see another police officer doing something he shouldn't be doing, stop him. Stop them. If it's a woman, stop that. Stop the police woman as well. All right? If you put somebody in custody, then you should be doing everything in your power to make sure that they're safe and they get to jail or they get to home safely. And I don't care if they've murdered people. I don't care if they're selling cigarettes or they have a fake $20 bill or they looked at you strange. And police, could we please stop shooting people with rubber bullets? I would appreciate that. If you just put that on your list, right? If you happen to see somebody in the press, right, and then you shoot them with rubber bullets, that is bad. If you see somebody on their front step, even if that person is yelling at you, if that person is yelling at you and saying that you're a terrible person, don't shoot them with rubber bullets, please. As you drive by people, please do not pepper spray them for no goddamn reason. These are all things that I ask. That's all. I don't think that that's too much. And if you disagree, we can part as friends. You don't ever have to listen to me again. But I don't think that those things that I have said are controversial. I don't think they're political. And that's what I think is important for everybody to get through their heads. This isn't a thing about politics. These are just people's lives. These are people's welfare. This is people being allowed to not have to be killed. That's not politics. That was never politics. All right, so that is the end of the show. How did we do? Who won?
Mike won.
Mike won. Let's do the shares. Make sure that people get their points for the shares.
Thanks, Septic.
Emily got a point.
Okay.
Craig gets a point.
Okay.
Jenny gets a point. And Mike gets a point. Did anyone on Twitter host the show?
You mean Twitch?
Or Twitch. On Twitch. Anyone on Twitch host the show? If not, well, we'll give you points anyway. If you did, just let us know. All right. So, winner, Mike.
Mike.
Yay! So, Mike, you get an acceptance speech, and you get to choose the color of the studio tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Well, not tomorrow. That's right. I'm sorry. Yes. On Wednesday, when we come back. Again, we will not be on tomorrow. There's an entertainment blackout happening tomorrow in support of all this, and we're going to do that. We're also going to do that. We've been pretty consistent this entire time, and we're not going to be consistent. But we'll be back on Wednesday, and if you put your thinking caps on, you're probably going to get an idea that there's going to be more questions like this just all week. We're going to keep doing this. Next season, next week, you can come back next Monday, and you don't have to deal with anything. We'll put smiles back on, and we'll just random stuff, and it'll be great. But we're gonna take a week, and yeah, we're gonna do something different.
Unfortunately, Mike, we can't make brown light. So can you show them your phone and what the possible colors are?
You know what, Mike? We're turning the lights off on Wednesday.
All right.
There you go. We'll turn them off. It's a blackout.
That's fine.
There you go. All right. So there we go. Emily said I almost wasn't going to come tonight because I was upset, and I'm glad I did. Well, good. We're glad you did too. Don't forget, everybody, super important. Don't just post to Facebook, right? Don't just go on to social media. That's not going to make a difference. It's just going to let you be fuming about it. And then people who already believe in what you believe they're just going to like stuff. And then you're going to feel like, oh, good, I'm with people who all believe things. But it's not going to change anything. And it's not good enough. It's just, we need change. We need things to change. We can't just all shout about it and then be like, that was a thing. So write to people, take the time and let your government know that it's not acceptable, right? And tell them what you want to see change, right? Tell them that it's not acceptable for police officers to murder people who are in custody. That can't continue. That can't continue, right or left. I don't think that this is, I think this is bipartisan, right? Like, I cannot imagine a person who is against this. And I think that that's what we need to push, is that if a police officer takes a human being in custody and murders that person, that they need to be held culpable, and we won't stand by and allow that to happen anymore.
Emily, will you send us that list? We'd like to post it on our page.
But yeah, please don't burn things. Don't loot things. Don't do that. It's not helpful. I know you're frustrated. I know that you're angry and you're sad, and I get that. I get it. Just don't do it. There's too much at stake. You can't make change by just burning your own city. That's not how you do it. But all right, that is it. That's did we get an acceptance speech?
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys. Be safe out there, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Agreed. So that is the end of the show, everyone. I slightly apologize for it not being a fun escape from the world, but sometimes that has to happen.
I don't apologize.
Caitlin doesn't give a shit. So, as we say, 7:00 every night except tomorrow night. We will not be here. We might go live. We might still go live. We just won't be here doing trivia. We'll just an hour of silence, I think, is probably the right thing to do. Anyhow, we'll go live. You're welcome to come hang out and talk about things and have a forum. It's just not going to be trivia. And we'll be back 7:00 on Wednesday. And again, come back next Monday if you just want some zany funness. We'll get back to it. So I think those are all the things, right? I have a podcast, Another Wasted Hour. Go check it out. I say that all the time. No, but nobody checks it out. So until 7:00 on Wednesday, everybody, Jesus, please stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay home. It's hard for me to say that still, but be safe. Be very, very safe. If you're going to go out, I understand. Just do all of the stupid precautions, right? I know sometimes they feel silly, but if you're going to be in a group full of people, we need everybody to be healthy. So don't, touch people and put your masks on and do all of the things and do it right. Like, don't touch your face while you have your mask on. Just read up on it and please be safe. Okay. Yeah. So, shout out to all of the people who have been making the world go round while we've been staying home. All of the people who are, doctors and all those people, to the police officers who aren't shitty. Thanks for all the things you do. Go talk to the ones that are shitty and get them fired. Get them arrested, because we can't keep doing this. So I'm putting it on you. All the good folks out there, all the good ones. If you're going to keep saying there's a few bad apples, awesome. Then get rid of those apples, and you have to do it yourselves, because it's your group. It's you, when somebody's in your dressing room saying shit. And so you need to take care of that. All right. So, but yes, all the people out there doing the essential things and keeping us safe, we appreciate that. All the people who are out there protesting and doing important things, we appreciate it as well. Please, please stay safe. Please don't do dangerous things and don't set things on fire and stuff like that. Please be very, very loud. Be very loud. And that's it. All right, for a terribly uncomfortable afternoon of trivia, that's Caitlin over there. I'm Keith.
Thank you.
Everyone be safe. Have a good night.